Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to another live stream of Hearthstone. We have... The chat is not working perfectly well, so I'm having to scroll down using the YouTube app on my phone because I cannot get it to launch anyway. We have a ton of news. We're already on the European account because I got to watch and learn and challenge a friend, which meant I only had to get 3 wins on the American account. So we're trying to bang our head against this tavern brawl, and in the meanwhile we're also playing mage cards. So let's hop into that. Let's see. Darian asked, "What's your favorite game other than Hearthstone?" Hearthstone's not really even one of my favorite games, to be honest. It's just popular and it's a good one to live stream. Because it doesn't require too much thinking if you don't need to think. If I was playing something more logical, there'd be a lot more backseat driving if it was a puzzle game, or there'd be a lot more backseat driving if it was a skill-based game like Call of Duty, because I'd be very bad at that. Portal is probably, Portal 1, Portal 2 is probably my favorite game. Yeah, just to pick a random one. The Witcher 3 was very good too, but because The Witcher 3 is a lot longer, there's really less likelihood I'll go back on that. Also, I didn't even do the DLC on The Witcher 3. I'm in a weird position there. I got The Witcher 3 for free when I bought my video card, so it gave me the good old games version. I'd like to repurchase it and on Steam, so I know it's in my Steam account to get the DLC there. And then I would like to have time at some point to play the DLC. Speaking of The Witcher 3, I saw a very interesting video that that went through all the Glassdoor reviews. Glassdoor is this website that you review places you worked. It's an anonymous website, so it is possible that your competitor or some disgruntled employee will go on there and lie about the work environment. But in all honesty, work environments, in my experience, are so bad that you can with less than average skepticism believe what's being said. And so somebody went and looked at CD Projekt Red's Glassdoor reviews going back many years, and it was very consistent that there's some major problems, that the CEO of CD Projekt Red doesn't really care about video games and is kind of random. He changes his mind. The management doesn't know what they're doing, and they don't listen to any of their programmers. There's way more crunch and time, like overtime and hard work when programming. The pay is incredibly low. Like the people are good. There are good aspects of CD Projekt Red, but honestly, it's a company, from what this video I saw, that grew too big because of The Witcher 3 and is trying to just grow bigger, and it's making some major problems. We can kind of see that this is probably likely, and it has some just major management issues, because CD Projekt Red is like 5 years into the Cyberpunk 2047 is like 5 years into the development, and they really haven't gotten anywhere. They're still hiring people. They're constantly hiring people. They said the engine that and the tools that are being used to make games is not up to snuff, and there's no documentation, and there's no education or training. So even though Witcher was a great game and all, it didn't seem like it really benefited the employees that are working there, and as well as it should. And I wouldn't really hold my breath for Cyberpunk 2047. there was already a high risk of a there was already a high risk of the game not being that good in the first place, and this kind of only more confirms that. Let's see. There we go. That worked pretty well. So, yeah, maybe we'll see some more stories about that. That being said, all video game jobs kind of suck. I wanted to be a video game programmer, and eventually I found out that all the jobs kind of sucked and gave up on that. So CD Projekt Red may not be as bad as the reviews say. It is also worth remembering that people aren't probably going to go to Glassdoor to write good reviews unless they're upset with their company that they're no longer working with. Usually you don't even risk putting a review up until you no longer work for the company. Or sometimes employers will go on there and put good reviews for their company. But that's kind of like putting fake Yelp reviews on your business. It doesn't really work. See, scroll down. Red Phoenix was talking about a game idea he had. More mind forky. That's all I need out of Antichamber 2. Okay, well, Antichamber 2 probably will come about. It's certainly a good likelihood. That did nothing. Thank you, game. Simple food. Darian said, what about online multiplayer? Almost 100% I don't play online multiplayer. It's just not something that I can review as a critic and a video game reviewer, because the online experience is drastically different based on who you're playing with. Also, it's just kind of not the kind of games I've ever wanted to play. So yeah, I don't play online multiplayer. Thinking maybe like Borderlands 2 on a second run. I'd play that online. Borderlands 1 on a second run. I would be willing to play that online. Generally speaking, it needs to be a story-based game that has an online aspect, so I can do the storyline once from beginning to end singly for pre-recorded content. Then I could live stream and do online multiplayer after that. So the only game in my repertoire right now that would even match that, besides Hearthstone, which is technically online multiplayer too, would be Borderlands 1, and there's also a lot of scheduling and things if you're trying to consistently have a like entire run. Like Borderlands 1, I'd want to play, I guess it would be 3 other people, from beginning to end, the entire story, or at the very least like defeat the bosses on the first playthrough, and then let them power level me up to the max level. So we get another pack for doing the Tavern Brawl. I'm glad to be done with that, and we're not getting anything higher than a rare, but for the European account, that's probably not going to be any duplicates still. Yeah, not a single duplicate. So if we just type in new, hit enter, we got second scavenging hyena at some point, a flare. I think I may have opened some cards when people weren't watching, and I'm gonna try real hard not to do that anymore, because people like to watch card packs being opened. And I guess part of the benefit of playing each of the servers, the Americas, European, and Asian server, is that helps. So we need Paladin class cards. So I'm just gonna get rid of something that's custom. Get rid of this mage, and then take a Paladin and custom deck. All I need to do is play the cards, so the cheapest ones first, as far as we can go. I thought this was, I was disenchanting gold for this account. I think I was, but I'll deal with that later. I've got a ton of stuff that needs to be done right now. A lot of news, a lot of news. People are chatting just like I love it to go, so trying to get ranked wins, I suppose. And playing ranked 22 is probably better than playing casual. Red Phoenix, what's the difference between normal, wild, and tavern brawl? When you're over here and you confront somebody, you can say a standard game, which is only standard cards, the limited set of cards. The wild game, which is all the cards, except for even in wild, if they change a card or nerf a card, you'll still have to play it that way. You can't play it the way it originally was anywhere. And then Tavern Brawl specifically takes you to the Tavern Brawl when there is a Tavern Brawl, and you play a friend that way. If you need to defeat a Tavern Brawl and having a friend to help you, it will be a lot easier than playing random people on the Tavern Brawl. Each of those random person probably trying to get a victory really desperately based on how difficult the rules are. Let's see, we'll play this, this, and I played a coin for no reason. Again, stupid me. Let's see, back to the news. Load. 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim launches 2018. Another mech game, it seems, for the PlayStation 4, PS Vita. Let's see, it's another Atlas Vanillaware game. This one looks more along the lines of a militaristic focused mech game, where the previous one was more of a fantasy magical mech game. The mech genre has some sub-genres on their own. This one, 13 Sentinels, looks a lot darker and is definitely different. Honestly, I'm seeing the way this trailer's playing, it seems like the characters might walk around in almost a point-and-click adventure style. So maybe it's not even a mech game. This looks more like a point-and-click visual novel interaction than anything. It's very black in its color palette. A lot of dark colors and muted tones. Let's see.
Protect the flight.
For justice.
This is weird. Wow. This is very weird. The game has this big mech on the front of it, but the trailer showed nothing like that. The game is dramatic adventure set by that follows 13 protagonists made of boys and girls who pilot robots to fight against their fate of unavoidable destruction. So it's not a fighting game at all. It's a dramatic adventure, point and click adventure type thing. Maybe there's not very much point and clicking going on, actually.
Job's done.
So that one tricked me. Let's see. There's a Arika's Mysterious Fighting Game. Released a trailer for its quote mysterious fighting game. I guess they haven't given it a name, or no, I think that is the name. Arika's Mysterious Fighting Game due worldwide PlayStation 4 2018. A playable beta server test will be held at the end of 2017. Well, this is a 2D Unreal Engine. Arika apparently is a company. I've never heard of it. It's a fighter game in a 3D platform. So the screen rolls around. It looks like Tekken. We could probably use one or two really good attempts to compete there. So certainly one or two more fighting games of just real fighters instead of things like Mortal Kombat or Injustice, where those games are not about the fighting mechanics as much as they are just about famous superheroes fighting each other. Double check the chat. See, Valve has aimed to combat Steam review bombing, although in a realistic way they're not combating it, and instead they've added a histogram, which is like a graph. So now the viewer, the purchaser, can see, oh, this game was really highly reviewed, and then a week ago everybody reviewed it badly. Let me go do some more research and figure out why people are reviewing this game badly now. Which is, I think, very consumer focused, honestly. Like, I know that it seems like at least some of the video game publishers are not happy with adding the histogram and not really solving anything, but what the video game reviewers want is an unrealistic thing. They want the ability, or Steam, to step in on their behalf and delete all bad reviews. And what the people who are purchasing the game want is a forum to say they're not happy with this game for whatever reason. And I think in, like, the case of Firewatch, which is the biggest, most recent thing, that almost certainly prompted this change, it's fair for people to say, I don't want to buy this game. I don't recommend you buy this game because it will, it would be an endorsement of this publisher following a false DMCA claim, which it is. Well, let's not even go there. Let's just say some people certainly believe it, and I am one of those people that believe that the DMCA claim that he filed against PewDiePie was on false grounds and unjustified. He was legally allowed to do it, but PewDiePie should have challenged it and taken him to court, and then he would have almost certainly won. So the Firewatch people, not specifically, but people, the game developers like the Firewatch developer, almost certainly would love the ability to say, this is just review bombing to every single bad review. And Steam really has no way of filtering out what is people who are reviewing a game badly because they don't like the gameplay, and the people who are reviewing a game badly because they don't like the actions of the video game creator or some other reason. Even random reasons, even invalid reasons, like let's just pick a random game and review bomb it. At the end of the day, Steam is a store. It's just a dumb pipe. I think Steam understands that a lot better than YouTube does. And in comparisons to YouTube, where YouTube is trying to actively censor everybody and be family friendly, Valve is trying to stay out of it and saying, let's just inform the people. And so I think that's fair information, and there will certainly be some people who see those reviews and that are bad and say, oh, actually I agree with the reasoning here and I shouldn't buy this game. Or there will be people who see those reviews and say, oh, there's actually a lot of that's not a reason I care about, therefore I'll just purchase the game. Looking here at the image, let me open this image actually and see if I can look at it bigger. Is this Firewatch that they implemented, or is this a temporary one? I can't even tell. So yeah, I don't even know if this one is for Firewatch or if this is just a demo image they have. I think it's just a demo image. Let's see. Like, in this demo image, they have, at the very beginning of the game's launch, the game being very highly rated well, and then a lot of negatives, but nowhere as many negatives as the high. And then for the entire middle part, there's no negatives at all and very little positives. And then at the very end, as it zooms in, there's a lot of negatives that kind of balance it to a mixed state. So if that's how reviews go on Steam, if that's an average lifespan of how reviews work on Steam, like, you can see this game really wasn't reviewed very popularly in the middle of its lifespan at all anyways. So it is possible that in this one picture I'm looking at, the game is getting negatively reviewed, not because of review bombing, just because by modern standards it doesn't hold up. Plenty of games on Steam are like that. It's like very popular. I played the Black Mirror one and it's very highly reviewed. When I played it, I felt it was pretty much garbage. I know it's a game from 2003, but it was not something I enjoyed. So yeah, I'm gonna applaud Valve on the histogram. Giving more information to a purchaser, being consumer friendly, is the right thing to do. Let's see.
You give me strength.
I will fight with honor.
That's not really a news story. Toys R Us has filed for bankruptcy protection in the United States and Canada. Right now, that doesn't mean anything because all the stores are saying they're going to be kept open. But I would highly recommend anybody to start saving your money now. If you have a Toys R Us anywhere near you, it's a decent guess to think that some, if not all, the stores will go out and then go out of business and they'll be on clearance. I'm certainly planning that if I hear any news like that, to run to a Toys R Us, and you probably aren't going to get an incredible discount or savings on video games. It would be actually pretty easy for Toys R Us to simply wholesale stock sell all their games to GameStops in the same cities and not really lose any of their money investment there. Whereas other things like toys, bikes, board games, things that are too big and too heavy to be worth shipping back, you'll probably see some decent discounts. I'm looking forward to maybe getting some Legos, but Legos will be in high demand, so 20 to 30% off is my guess. The best I'll see. And at that point, I would be willing to just buy a Lego set for 20 to 30% off. And maybe get a bunch of the just assorted creativity kits. That way I could build random things and new things. My own creations. That's what they're called. YouTube Gaming is adding paid sponsorships and emojis and all kinds of things. The problem here for me, though, is that you have to have 1,000 subscribers before you can get any of this. They've literally raised the bar on me, and like I have 200 plus subscribers right now. I need everybody to ask all their friends to subscribe to me. I don't care if they watch or not, but if I could get up to 1,000, then I could start using these things. Honestly, the $5 a month subscription by one person sponsoring me would be so much more than what I'm getting in ad revenue right now, that one subscription would be nice. Like getting 10 would afford me almost enough money to, it'd be about $45 then, so then you could potentially purchase a new game almost every month and be able to budget covering new games. You could, if I got 100 people to subscribe, then you're talking a decent amount of money for the channel to actually start paying for itself, and really 400 people subscribing and sponsoring would be more than enough to pay all my bills and live off of for the rest of my life. And this that is assuming that YouTube doesn't take 30% out of the sponsorships, which maybe they do. Who knows? They seem to like to do that, so I wouldn't be surprised. But getting up to 1,000 and at least having the option to turn that on then just puts me at the point where I could be disappointed when nobody does it. Right now I'm disappointed that YouTube, the little chat emojis and sponsor only chat and things like that, certainly are things that are just directly stolen from Twitch. You have to, I think, animate your own chat emojis yourself, which means I very possibly would end up spending some extra time at some point making animated chat emojis instead of playing and recording footage, which would kind of suck, but you know, I could make a couple chat emojis of my logo pretty quickly. Beyond that, I don't know what I would really want to do. There's this rather weird thing. Darren asks, if I donated, would you get League low? If you sponsored me for $5, would I play League of Legends? I think I would. I wouldn't want to say guaranteed anything, but I would feel a lot more motivated to play League of Legends. However, that being said, I want to be very fair on this transaction. There's a decent chance I would play League of Legends like once or twice, and then that would be it. So I'd probably just get bored with it. But there is certainly a level of pandering that I don't want to get to. I don't want to get to the point where I'm literally charging people to play with me, or just playing people's games because only because they are paying me to play the games. But that's what I say right now. It's probably, if somebody wanted to support me better than anything, is figure out how to get friend me on Steam and gift me games, because if I have the game, then that eliminates the opportunity to that eliminates a big barrier for me to play that game, and so I can eventually get around to that. I'm still covering a lot of games, even though I'm changing. I'm doing a little less than I used to. I'm just gonna hold on to all these cards, and that also, Steam, getting gifted games on Steam eliminates YouTube from the factor and makes it a lot better of a transaction. Also, it tells people when they're friended with me, they know what games I have, so they won't try to gift me things extra there. I don't even know on Battle.net if you can gift games to your friends, because I'd like to have the ones that aren't free to play. I'd like to have Diablo 3, StarCraft 2, the StarCraft remaster, the other things that are only on the Battle.net launcher. And if people could send me card packs, that too would be great, but I don't know if you can do any of that. So, and card packs would probably be rather helpful. Moving on with the news, Final Fantasy VII's Tifa Lockhart is in Darkest Dungeon, according to using a class mod. So this is just a mod adding a Final Fantasy character to Darkest Dungeon. That's a weird thing. Running into some weird mods out there. Let's do something really crazy. Add characters from a completely different game. Let's see. Here's the Tokyo Game Show 2017 live stream schedule. I think that's all happened now. All times are in Japanese standard time. Like, I had no intention of watching the live streams on the Tokyo Game Show because none of it's going to be translated. It's just going to be a bunch of trailers. Although, you know, that might work. Because, you know, you just watch the watch the trailers and give your opinions on it. So I guess I could have done that, I just didn't. And I believe all of the September 24th seems like it was September 21st through the 24th. And what's today's date? No, actually this is all gonna still happen. Let's see, Red Phoenix says, I'm back. My internet crashed again. Darian asks, have you ever played Warframe / considered playing it? I thought somebody asked me about Warframe already. Isn't Warframe... Let's see. Let's just, instead of asking the chat to tell me what Warframe is, how about we just type in Warframe and see what comes up on Steam. Warframe, free to play. Part of the things is free to play things. I've already got Hearthstone as my free to play thing, and if it is just free to play, there's not a real reason for me to review it or look at it as a review. So like Warframe looks cool. From what I just saw, it looks kind of like a Destiny shooter gun game, but it's also free to play, so people out there can go play it and try it out with no initial expense. So yeah. The answer to your question, I suppose, is I just considered playing it, and I said, well, it's a free-to-play game. I have tons of other games that are in my collection of games that aren't free-to-play games to review, so it would be so low at the list that by the time I got around to it, nobody would be playing Warframe anymore. Nico apparently is a video streaming service in Japan. Doesn't Nico mean cat? Is Nico cat? I'm gonna open this link and see what Nico is. Well, it's all in Japanese, so I would certainly have trouble just browsing the site to watch the videos. Yeah. Just getting the videos to play. I guess as long as they were all YouTube links, I'd be fine, but if any of them require going and learning a new site that's all in Japanese, I'm gonna have trouble. And I don't know what the time differential there. It's probably close to 12 hours, but I probably could do it. So I guess that's the question. Would people be interested in me watching a bunch of trailers in Japanese and stage presentations in Japanese of the Tokyo Game Show? And I imagine, if I'm going to just immediately guess, the answer is there's not going to be that much interest. There wasn't even that much interest on E3. More interest than average, but it was hardly like I was getting 1,000+ views on every video. So I think I'll probably just let a lot of these games which have already been announced, just let Gemetsu, I imagine, cover it. Red Phoenix says, got to go, it's dinner. Okay. Congratulations on being able to feed yourself. There's many out there that aren't. That's a weird thing to say, isn't it? Here's a weird one. Warner Brothers supports hurricane relief efforts according to their own website. The Habitat for Humanity, Save the Children, the Humane Society of the United States, and Shelterbox. But remember, Warner Brothers is also the company that was really scamming people with the dead programmer for Shadow of War, Middle-earth Shadow of War. So I don't know if this is an attempt for them to pat themselves on their back, or if this is a attempt to pull themselves out of the muck. It's just one sentence. In response to the devastation caused by Hurricanes Harvey and Irma, Warner Brothers Entertainment has supported the following nonprofit organizations. And there's like no information here on how much they're donating or if they're doing anything. I don't think they're really doing anything. I think they just have agreed to put links to these charities on their website, and that's join us in supporting these organizations and offers providing much needed relief and income. Yeah, they're literally doing nothing. Warner Brothers is garbage. I mean, this is the ultimate virtue signaling, if you've ever seen it. We're so good, we're so good, we're putting these websites on our webpage, but we won't tell you that we're not giving any money or really doing anything at all, which is what I have to assume they're really doing. And they might as well have not done anything. Or honestly, if they were going to do that and this was an attempt to pull themselves out of the mess, the hole they dug for themselves, they needed to come back and say, we're giving $1 million. No questions asked, no strings attached. We're giving $500,000, $100,000, no strings attached to it. And they needed to be incredibly detailed and incredibly accurate and fully show that they don't want any question or any doubt about their sincerity. And all I can do is question their sincerity because of their previous actions. Let's see, the Evil Dead film has been absent from the video game space for some time. Apparently there was an Evil Dead game back in the day, probably long time ago. But there's a free update to the action roguelike game Phantom Halls, which is currently in early access. It's procedurally generated games where players control multiple characters at once. And apparently one of the characters you can play as now is Ash from Evil Dead. All I need to do is play these cards, so I'm just gonna play them. I wonder if they actually have this officially licensed Evil Dead 2 update adds the series protagonist Ash Williams as a playable character with his own themed quest. Let's see a video of this gameplay if we can. It's an early access game, so nobody should play it anyways, but
I don't have enough mana. For justice.
Well, that didn't do anything helpful. Yeah, it doesn't look like much, and it doesn't even look like it's nicely animated. I don't see the reason why you would want to have your TV movie series in a game. Oh, it says the last time Evil Dead was in a game was Evil Dead the game. Well, Ash also made a cameo in the Telltale games Poker Night 2. Poker Night at the Inventory 2. Let's see. There's a mobile game, Army of Darkness Defense, and Evil Dead the game, which were mobile games.
For justice.
I will say, even though Friday the 13th as a game isn't that great, at the very least it it does look good. The cutscenes look better than the actual game, but the actual game is not just a cheap effort to sell on a license. I imagine the game, Friday the 13th, the game actually benefited by not having that license at the beginning, because then they actually had to make something that was a little bit better to begin with, but they really didn't succeed. I think the concept's flawed. Speaking of flawed concepts, Layers of Fear is coming to the Switch. That's certainly not one I was expecting. It will include the Inheritance DLC. Like a scary game on the Switch makes me kind of wonder, have we finally hit that point where like Five Nights at Freddy's is so popular that Nintendo has to bring those games over? Yeah, it's very possible there weren't many, if any, horror games in the past 2 Nintendo console releases at all. Here's an interesting number. Humble Bundles, the Humble Store, has now raised over $100 million. So nearly $1 billion, well no, 10 times less than $1 billion in money. Which sounds good, except for the fact that if you run those numbers versus the Awesome Games Done Quick numbers, you kind of find out, for as long as Humble Bundle's been running, that they really haven't made that much money. And my only guess for why that is the case is that people aren't giving as much money to the charities, and the breaks and the splits just by default are giving more to the Humble Store and the creators of the games. But I guess at the end, 100 million is still 100 million more than what I think WB is actually giving for hurricane relief, and it's 100 million more than what the other companies seem to really care about. So it's not an insignificant amount of money. It's just, I would have thought it would have been more. So I need to play 30 more road cards. And so I'll just pick something, get rid of this custom druid. On this European account, none of these custom decks really matter because I know I haven't done anything with them yet. And I'm still going at the news. I think I might be close to being done with the news. And when we finish up the news, unless there's just more on the chat, we'll finish up the stream. So we may not even make it to the Asian account, which is fine. Like, that's kind of how I've determined to do these streams now, is just when news runs out, when the chat runs dry, that's just going to be the end of it, and I'll play the rest off screen in silent play. Just off screen completely. Whether I'm talking when I'm not recording or not doesn't really matter. Let's see. Let's see. Is this really worth talking about? Somebody made a VR monitor that you can plug into a Commodore 64. Okay. Fair enough. I mean, if you make a VR monitor that can take an analog video input, you can plug anything you want into it. There's little demand for that, certainly, and without scan lines and the curvature of a picture tube and all of those extra elements, you're not going to get the best experience at all. The Commodore 64, if you're not aware, has a big keyboard for an input, and so it's not really an ideal video game console. Although, like the Z Spectrum, it seems to have been very popular in its day as part educational software device and part game console. Let's skip ahead. Yeah, I'm watching him play an old Commodore 64 game, and it has about 8 different colors it could possibly have, and he's no real... well, if there is animation here, it's about 1 frame a second, and actually it's running a little bit better than I would have guessed. Yeah, if you don't have nostalgia for the Commodore 64, though, you would have no reason whatsoever to ever want to play that. Interesting as a gadget, not interesting really for the video game industry. Here's a editorial about the life and death of fad controllers. Are we done with fad controllers? I bet we aren't. I just now can see the icons on my Chrome browser. I finally started to close enough things. Gearbox has wrapped up active development on Battleborn. We kind of already knew that. I wouldn't be surprised if the truth is they did that like as soon as they saw it wasn't going to work, but they were being kind and trying to get as many sales as possible. It's not kindness, they're just trying to get the most amount of sales as possible before they wrapped it up. They certainly said that they made all kinds of claims of we're going to support this. We have every intention to support this. This is doing fine. Ex-Valve writer Chet Falizek, F-A-L-I-S-Z-E-K, joins Surgeon Simulator Studio. Maybe I am confused here, but if I recall correctly, I think Surgeon Simulator wanted to make a new game that was big and just not another simulator. That they were going for a AA, AAA game. The writer is best known for his work on Portal and Left 4 Dead games, along with Half-Life 2 episodic expansions. There probably was a no complete clause in all of these people's contracts, so they all quit, and then as soon as the no complete clause ran out, they had jobs already lined up. So he worked at Valve for 12 years, so hopefully sitting around and doing nothing for 12 years, which is pretty much what working at Valve seems like. I'm
warning you. I'm unstable.
Let's kill this guy. Hopefully he'll be able to do something and actually make some games. That's the same article again. For all you pirates out there that went to the Pirate Bay, apparently they were doing an experiment where they ran a Bitcoin miner using your CPU. Anybody who visited the website's CPU so that they could Bitcoin mine and make money and get rid of the ads. From what I hear, the Pirate Bay is full of ads, so this probably wouldn't be a terrible idea. The only thing is that they screwed up the programming and it was using 100% of your CPU. But if I went to a site that was really providing me with something, and for my time on that tab I was Bitcoin mining them something, that's probably a better transaction than what we've got with ads. Like, if everybody who was watching me right now could load up a Bitcoin miner and they were mining me 1 Bitcoin per month of streams, even, a Bitcoin is like worth $400 or $500. I know it fluctuates a lot, but that would be totally cool with me in general, depending on how it's actually implemented.
Already attacked.
Atari and Fig have partnered up and they're going to develop and publish 2 new games. So this again is to point out though that Atari is not the Atari that made games in the 80s. Atari has gone bankrupt and had its license sold over and over again multiple times. So this is just some basically cyber squatter company trying to resell and republish old Atari games and use the name of Atari. Fig is not as a Kickstarter for video games where you can get some of your money back and actually invest in a game. Isn't amazingly succeeding right now. It's doing maybe even a little bit better than Kickstarter, but only because it's being very picky and very slow. But it hasn't earned the trust of people, certainly. Fan game developers of Zelda game clones have built an engine that anybody can use, so it's basically kind of like Paint but a lot more complicated, where you can make your own maps and levels of a game like a Zelda game. Let's see. Let's kill this guy. This. Play as many cards as possible. And when they say Zelda, they mean The Legend of Zelda 1. And I think you would have to do a lot of work if you're not using default sprites and assets to change things, and programming in new styles of attacks and things that are going to be the elements that trip up what I would call script kiddie or new programmers. Like, certainly you can make your own variations of things that already exist, but how well is this engine, how good is this engine to program a new character? Like, for example, if there's a character you want that disappears in one place and appears in another, if that's not pre-programmed, how easy is it to do something like that? Or if you want a character that say rewinds time when you walk to the left and fast forwards time when you walk to the right, how easy is it to do something like that? There we go. I guess I could talk about the Humble Bundle sale. It's the very positive bundle too. And first one is Rive, Neon Chrome, and Dungeon Souls, and I didn't have any of those games, so I paid $1 and got those games. Next one is Middle Earth, a game of Shadow of Mordor Game of the Year edition, which, yeah, I guess if you want to support WB, it is a good game, so it makes sense. Still, you'd have to pay the average, which is now $7.08, and that's why I didn't want to do it. It was like $6 yesterday, and it's already up more. Ultimate Chicken Horse and Oxenfree. Each one of these games, even the first 3 games, are selling right now for like $20 each. So there is at least a perception of savings there. By spending more money, you're somehow saving money in the long run, assuming you buy into the assumption you're going to own every game that ever existed, which works for a video game reviewer, doesn't work for normal people. Ultimate Chicken Horse, I think, is online multiplayer only, so I don't think I could play it. Or maybe it's couch co-op multiplayer too, but I still don't think I could really play it. And Oxenfree is one I did want to get and play. And then pay $10 or more gets you Death Road to Canada and Beat Cop, and I don't even think that is the right way to have broken this up. I think you would have been better to have Shadow of Mordor in the $10 slot, and then put like Beat Cop probably down in there. I would have put Oxenfree and Shadow of Mordor at the $10 slot, and then put Death Road to Canada and Beat Cop in the middle. But maybe that's what they're trying to do, is to force the niche fans of those 2 games to pay more. There is also pay $80 or more to unlock a Shadow of War t-shirt and pre-ordering of Middle-earth Shadow of War. Wow, so this really is just all about getting you to pre-order Shadow of War. And the amount that goes to charity when you purchase things, I don't even think you can change in this one, because I didn't see that, but maybe I'm just not paying attention. And Oddworld Abe's Odyssey is available for free right now. Let's see. I still have like 8 things, pages that of things that aren't even really video game articles. Let's see. Do this. Do this. In the turn. Yeah, some of these are just new games that I think we can get rid of. That and that.
Is someone injured?
There we go. Yep. So let me go back to Twitter now and see if there's anything even new on Twitter. Otherwise, I think at the end of this game we're done. The FTC takes to Twitter to clarify its disclosure policies. Well, thank goodness. Finally, they're going to clarify something. I think they made it pretty obvious, but they're just repeating it, and they're going to repeat it over and over again, that you have to disclose things. Let's see. Is there anything left? People are still getting retweeted by Hearthstone for getting Arthas. Man, Arthas, the Lich King was hard. Blizzard promises improvements to the Hearthstone pro scene after Championship Tour debacle. What was the debacle? Like, I don't even know what happened. I'm out of the loop.
A mistake.
You know, I follow too many people that are advertising things and not enough people that are actually reporting on things. I guess that's just the way it's always going to be, probably. a lot of companies just pushing their games, and yet a lot of times they don't give enough information. So for Hearthstone, it won't be a lot of work to play rogue cards and get the European accounts done. It will be a lot of work to get
This is our town, scrub.
well, there'll be a lot of work to get the Asian account daily challenges done, whatever they are. Because the tavern brawl at the very least will be difficult, and then whatever the other challenges will be just average, I imagine.
Once upon a time.
Still scrolling. Need for Speed Payback system requirements are out, so if you're interested in playing that game, you can now know. So with TGS, it looks like we're gonna have a decent number of new games out there in 2018. Whether or not they come to the West is gonna be an interesting question. Nothing super crazy, but the crazy games, the really crazy games, are gonna not be shown off at Tokyo Game Show. It's the standard Japanese fare that you're gonna see there. I imagine the really crazy gems will just be snuck out on Steam, or they'll come out at their own time. Yeah, anytime you're showing off something at a convention or a game show, you're trying to reach a broad audience. So the niche games aren't gonna have don't have as much of a reason to exist. Just double check the chat. Nope, nobody said anything after Red Phoenix went to dinner, which is fine. So 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. 6 o'clock seems to be almost a break time. Maybe I should take that to heart and
I wonder.
And not air anything during 6 o'clock on my pre-recorded. Nah, I think that's fine. I think it's fine as it is, or mostly fine. The next step that I could go is I could have all my pre-recorded shows only air 1 day a week, and that seems pretty crazy. Like one 30-minute or even hour-long episode of a video, and then you have to wait 7 days before you can see the next one. That would be pretty random. Hey, Uppercut Games just liked one of my tweets for Submerged. Well, they're not gonna like it. I always get iffy about that when the creators of the games like your tweet on a game, because they don't know. They don't know that I'm gonna come back and say I don't like the game because I didn't like that game. It's sad to say, I really didn't. It's a very not really a game type game.
Witness me! Are you afraid of the dark?
But that does put us in done, I suppose, after this game, and we can wrap it up, and then that'll give me 2 episodes, which is perfectly fine. I still have a ton of extra Hearthstone videos. Wow, we even got it. I am so surprised. So, we're at 1805 now. Except for the tavern brawls. After this is up to 3,500, it's just going to be extra that come to the European and Asian accounts. Because, you know, like, if I didn't do all the daily quests and I don't get all the gold, so what? I mean, we already know that you can't realistically get all of the cards and just play free to play in this game, and you just never are going to be, at least not as the game is set up now. So I want to have extra gold, but it's not a big priority. As I think about time management, I might start skipping these extra accounts. Let's switch over to the Asian account and see what the daily quests are for that. Let's see. Come on, launch it. Let's not sit on the black screen forever. So World of Warcraft, Destiny, Diablo 3, StarCraft. The single player ones I would like to have.
Always room for another.
So we have this tavern brawl I need to do, and I can't trade out any of these, so I've already done my trades. 3 wins of any class and 30 warrior cards and 30 hunter cards and the tavern brawl. And so that's not going to be too bad. Everything as far as solo adventures have been purchased, and we're at 1230 gold here. We're slightly more there. We might, if we start getting free arena runs, it will make sense to go back and do them. But yeah, I'm pretty well set. That's going to be it for this stream. A ton of news. Probably aren't going to have very much news at all next stream in 3 days. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Get all of your friends to subscribe to my channel. I want to get up to 1,000 subscribers, please. I don't even care if they don't watch at this point. Just help me get up to 1,000. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.